Hi everyone, it's Claire. So we're up to the full moon in Aries, which is the Hunter's moon, and it's a super moon, and it's actually October the 6th and October the 7th. It's October the 6th, 11:47 p.m. in New York, and it's 8:47 p.m. in LA on October the 6th, and that's today, and all over the Americas. And October the 7th, tomorrow, it's Universal Greenwich Mean Time, 4:47 a.m., the supermoon. So that's for us tomorrow. I looked at it actually last night and it looked very full to me, and I had a lot of kind of weird information-y stuff going on. So I found it a little bit confusing. But let's see what happens for me personally tomorrow, because I think it would have sorted itself out a bit. So I looked at least four astrologers. Tanya Gabrielle, and she talked about 22nd of September was the equinox, and the fire moon cleared away. Well, this one clears away beliefs and eliminates doubts. And it's a full moon, 14 degrees of Aries, and 14 degrees the sun in Libra, and it seeks balance, Libra. And Aries is much more about, the personal side, who we are and what we want. And Libra's more about looking at balance between people. So there might be a pulling feeling of that. But because we've got Mars very active with Scorpio as well, so I think it's going to be a very fiery one, actually. I'll talk about that in a minute. So Aries is about independence, action, authenticity, and also Tanya mentioned that the Sun and Moon are just opposed, and Mars, but there's no other planets involved at the moment, and Aries is, well, Mars is the ruler of Aries, and there's no other connections. But Mars acts on self-interests. That's the shadow side at times, and it's at 10 degrees of Scorpio, Mars, and Mars is the ancient ruler of Scorpio. So we will feel this quite deeply, with emotions being quite profound, she thinks. And October is the 10th month, and also she talked about this being 10 degrees of Scorpio, Mars at 10 degrees of Scorpio. Mars is the ruler of Aries, so there's this 10 code, which is about instant manifestation. 10 is the God number, 10, it's like the binary code 1, love and light, very powerful to manifest. And there may be, because Aries is about, the I, it means I am. It's like a lot to do with independence and sovereignty, and there may be a feeling of isolation at the moment for some people. But we'll have our own light to share, and don't let anyone dim it, she talked about. And it's not the ego light, but it's our light inside us which inspires us and other people. And Mercury is square to Pluto, and there's a finger of God too pointing to Mercury from Uranus and Neptune. A few of the astrologers have mentioned this. And there's a bit of a tense aspect around because of that because Mercury is about communication. Uranus is like this thing, like curveballs. Neptune is a bit ethereal, and there's something sometimes about deception. But there's this tense aspect about media, possibly crowds, people, messages, and actually it's quite powerful to do with spiritual stuff as well. Venus opposing Saturn, lots of messages. She talked about the geodetic side being, affecting geography quite in a fiery way. But Mars is often about self-confidence, pushing our limits, and impatience sometimes, the shadow side of it, and aggression and self-centeredness. So Aries is the first sign of the horoscope, and it's often about origins and things, creating things from scratch. And hidden forces use thought, she talked about, not action, and it's easier to change action. And thought is based on beliefs, so give people beliefs that support action. and look at change of beliefs to change their behavior. And Mars is very passionate, and about, at the highest form of that, it's compassion. So, and we've also got Mercury square Pluto. So, there is a big thing with the astrologers saying this, that we may uncover secrets. And it is quite a good time to get a reading, perhaps, and keep our mind flexible, and try not to argue, be self aware. So, this finger of God to Mercury from Neptune, Saturn points to this uncovering of secrets. More than one, the astrologers mentioned it. And Tanya goes on about geodetic information. So, October the 7th, Greenwich, Midheaven line, looks at Sweden, Norway, East Germany, Czech Republic, goes down to the Mediterranean, African, and right down the African centre of Africa, Atlantic, and west of South Africa. And in Europe, the Pluto line crosses the full moon line. You've got Saturn as well through GB, France, Spain, West Africa. And the Mars is over Middle East, concerning energies really there, like East Ukraine, Turkey, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan. And she talked about, because it's like it's on its own, there's not so much other activity, not Mars not contacting other planets, so it might be a bit about being on her own and having no other support, but particularly on the geodetic sign, sending peace to that area, the Middle East area. And on the full moon, Russia, Mongolia, Thailand, Malaysia, India Ocean. And the Mars line dips over Japan and into Indonesia, Western Australia, and crosses the Pluto line. So some strong impact. And northern USA, the full moon impacting Canada, Ohio, West Virginia, Florida, Miami, Carolinas, and the Saturn line right in the middle of the country, and Panama and Peru, Neptune, Saturn, Central America, and Mars line in Maine, and full moon Alaska, Russia. And she went into detail about the Pluto line and Uranus crossing Canada, USA border, Vancouver, Washington state, and that the Mars line moves to the Uranus-Pluto line. And she thinks around the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th of November, particularly 4th of November, GMT time, early morning, Mars-Uranus crosses the Pluto line. So that first week of November might show some kind of things happening, which, these lines are pointing to. But also, she mentioned it's the election day in USA, and possibly other things get quite intense. Then we're on to Pam Gregory, and she talked about it, the rest of the year being very, very dynamic after this full supermoon in Aries on the 6th and 7th of October. And it's really at the beginning of the Pluto transit into Aquarius, which means more kind of action oriented, really, and looking at the future. But 3i Atlas, this interstellar object, is really ploughing its way through solar system at 68 kilometers per second, which is incredibly fast, faster than the speed of Mercury. And it's now by Mars. So sightings are happening. I've just had a look really today and yesterday, and it looks like a white long object with all sort of, it's quite bright, and it's by Mars. So, and she thinks around the 21st of October, the Earth, the Sun, and this object will be in a straight line. So that's quite interesting. But she really thinks it's like nothing that's happened before, and there's also 6 other comets following it. But Pam Gregory thinks that it's a step change, looking around at other people, looking at psychics who have talked independently of each other, and of people who are into the science of it. It's a step change to raise our consciousness and stay open to higher intelligence and change. And several of the psychics, she thinks independently, think it's about the opening of the heart chakra, and that being activated. So, which is a good thing, obviously, for the planet and for, humanity. And there's this crescendo of energy ending in 2025. And she mentioned a good guy to look at might be Stephen Byrne, because he's quite factual based, but he's also spiritual, and he's on YouTube, I noticed. Neptune is around, but make bigger. It sort of is very linked in with seas, water, ocean, pollution, lies, illusion, pharma, drugs, blood, media, glamour, Hollywood, tsunamis, flooding, unconditional love, but also fire, and very ethereal. I was talking about, like, some of my dreams have been incredibly ethereal and a bit hard to understand. Maybe have some weird baseline message, but you don't really understand the concept. The context, because it's actually so ethereal, not very physical. But she thinks it's all kind of linked in with this higher consciousness and the higher intelligence and Three Eye Atlas and everything. So, and possibly more seismic activity October and November as well. She looked at the chart and she saw that, Aries very strong with Mars and Scorpio, and Aries is warlike, looking at the I am mentality. It's direct, it's simple, it gets to, truth quickly. And it's about being busy and action orientated. And also, she talked about dwarf planets like Selassie, linking in with mermaid energy, whales, dolphins, and Lemuria, which was like this ancient, beautiful undersea, kingdom thousands of years ago, but which looked at, they often had the mermaids linked in and merpeople, and they linked with healing, and special powers and crystals and things like that. And she really thinks that with some of the dwarf planet activity, like Hamir, linked to fertility and Hawaii and landmass birth, but more of us may remember our Lemurian connections, and the Lemurians lived in balance with nature. And at this full moon, we could be really linked into the group soul consciousness and all the possibilities of that. So she talked about other things, but water and light highlighted, and Lemurian, the new Earth, regeneration of Earth. Mercury square Pluto's secrets coming to light, which Tanya had talked about. Mercury in Scorpio, about big money, criminal activity, and even sexual secrets. And also revolution with Sun square Uranus. Truth, clarity, awakening, and the bright supermoon lighting up revolution. And galactic energy and communications with Gemini, and Kundalini energy. Mars in Scorpio, 165-degree aspect to Chiron, and Chiron's the wounded healer. So passion and anger about wounds from the past, maybe adding to this revolutionary energy, and upset and upheaval and even victimhood. So, quite a sort of bit of a turmoil feeling. And Sun aspect to Neptune, Saturn, about obsession and how do we clarify the dream. And the veil may collapse, that some people might see truth very clearly or even be overwhelmed. So do be careful of that. And she talked about withdrawing from the noise and so many contradictions, and live from the inside out. And that heart chakra being activated will be incredibly helpful. And really, taking slow, deep breaths. She talked about Jupiter, Cancer, trine Saturn, about motherhood and cautious building for the future, and self-care, and about communities and collaboration, and being, in the positive heart vibration, not in the victimhood. And from the 14th of October, and we might feel it from the 7th of October, Pluto moves stationary direct. So when that happens, we'll kind of get more of a feel of Pluto, which is very much about power and stepping into our power and the power of our communities. So people coming together, creating from the grassroots up, giving a different socio-economic structure, and becoming, she talked about becoming a being of light, and ask, how could I embody more light and serve more today? And then I was on to Maria Vasami, a shamanic astrologer, and she looks at tarot as well. She talked about this being like the last cleanse post eclipse season. And what don't we see in the love relationships and other relationships? What haven't we seen up till now, but we might see it now? Aries connects with her own power and male feeling. It's got a strong kind of link with Mars, strong masculine in Scorpio. And Moon, Sun opposing um, and Sun in Libra, opposing mutuality, partnerships. Love is very important. What was hidden in our relationships, she thinks. And Venus Libra, the feminine in the Virgo South Node. She thinks many love relationships might close, and we might have past life kind of connections with healing and reflections on the new moons that was Virgo in 29 degrees, new moon of Virgo, and 0 degrees of Virgo. That was in between the eclipses, but that was about purifying health and wellness. And so if we're in a toxic relationship, we need to take action. And if we've been a receiver but now a giver, like there might be lots of closures due to the awareness of that in relationships. And Venus opposing Saturn, so deep love connections which are meaningful. She talked about like fast food type connections being, almost talking about like the apps and, I dare hardly mention it. It's all linked with the internet and, fast food stuff to do with love, but that people are not connecting within their soul, and it's caused spiritual toxic sort of issues really. And that Venus sextile Jupiter aspects that open new doors. Jupiter offers new opportunities, and Lilith in Scorpio about the hidden female power, and that women have been suppressed for thousands of years and they need to regain their balance with men. And Venus in Virgo, living in harmony, nature and purity. And about Mars in Scorpio, taking action in relationships which are better for us, and looking at our worth, like our self-worth, and are we with someone who is of the same kind of self-worth, same worth. Don't be afraid of challenges on that. And there's a Libra new moon for balance on the 21st of October. And I looked briefly at Molly McCord. Wow, this is a long one. Sorry, there's a lot going on. But Molly McCord just talked about it briefly, about who are we, where have we compromised, what do we self-abandon, and patterns to change, new Aries full moon. What can we change now? Now Aries full moon. What can we change regards our needs, sharing, communications? How do I declare my needs? New starting points, and about new solutions and new revelations. Have we been honest with ourselves, and what does work and what does not work? And honesty being a big one, so that if we're honest with ourselves, then honest in a relationship would follow kind of suit. And Scorpio may wait at first but then bring it out later. And Scorpio helps us in a phoenix-like kind of raising up from the ashes type way. So something may lock into gear, she thinks, and make something happen. And it's an action-oriented full moon with Scorpio and Mars. I'm ready to have courage and stay the course and discount external forces and be, in the I am, and claim what we want and self-empower ourselves. Plus, in Libra, we're still in Libra season, so we might see others change their priorities and life needs. But she says to make it happen and declare what we need and commit. So that is it. So very happy full moon in Aries, super moon and hunter's moon. Have a great one. I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye.